Good morning, everybody, and welcome into a special edition of the Dave Talk Sports podcast. Of course, it is July 4th, so happy holidays to everybody out there celebrating July 4th. I don't really take days off, so I am about to be on my way home from work from CBS Sports Radio Network, place you guys join me on my way home from every single morning. Sitting still here for a couple of minutes. There will be absolutely no traffic once I pull away, so I figured I'd take a couple of minutes to just actually talk to you guys straight into the camera before I start driving. So a couple personal notes I just wanted to pass by before we get started with the sports stuff. Today, July 4th, is my dog Jordan's birthday. For those who know him, you know he is a very handsome yellow lab. He is turning 6 today, so a very happy birthday to my dog Jordan. As always, it's a holiday and we have a little celebration for him. We'll be grilling up some food, a little bit of a barbecue. He always gets a little special treat, a special toy, and he may get a special hat that he's got to wear. We'll see how the day goes. But very happy birthday to Jordan. Can't believe he's 6 already. It's crazy. Still got that puppy energy and just follows us around everywhere we go, which is awesome. And he's, just like another kid just running around the house. And of course, it's July 4th, so very happy holiday to everybody out there. Be safe, no matter where you're going, what you're doing, in your travels. If you're traveling locally as well. Some people, unfortunately, party and then try to make their way home, so it's not always the safest place to be on the road on a holiday like this. So just be safe. Enjoy. It's going to be very, very hot today in the New York City and New York area. So if you're around here, try to stay cool, and that's where I'll be. But then I will be back at work this evening around midnight. So you'll catch me again tomorrow on the way home from work. Anyway, a couple things we're going to cover today in the sports world. Kawhi Leonard still has not made a decision on where he's going to play basketball in the upcoming season. But because of the New York Knicks, my New York Knicks, they must continue to add fuel to the fire. They must continue to expand the circus. It's like it's a business, and they have a business plan of expanding, so they must always add to the nonsense. So we know the story, right? The Knicks saw free agency come and go, at least the beginning stages of it, and they've signed all but really one player. They have enough money and enough space for one more player on the 15-man roster. They could sign 2 players, endure a competition battle, and then cut somebody, after the summer league, so they do have that option. So we'll see which route they go with that. Not much more than, I believe it's $4 or $5 million left on the payroll. But they miss out on Kevin Durant, and then they tell us publicly that, well, we were going to offer him the max contract anyway. So we didn't really miss out on him because we weren't willing to do that in the first place. That's a bull crap salad if I've ever heard one, seen one. I mean, stop. Just stop. You either did or would have absolutely offered him a max contract. And if you actually wouldn't have, you're a bunch of morons. It's just what it is. So now, here comes another spin machine. And if it's true, I think it's even dumber than if it's not true. Allegedly, there's a story out there floating around from last night that the Knicks weren't willing to wait, or claim they wouldn't be able to wait, for Kawhi Leonard to actually make this decision. All right, so it's July 4th. Free agency period started 6 p.m. on the 30th. So we're entering day number 5, of which free agents can make a decision. Now, they can't officially sign until July 6th, so nothing is officially set in stone yet. None of these trades, none of these contracts, nothing is set in stone whatsoever. So people could technically change their minds. We talked about DeAndre Jordan locking himself in his house and changing his mind a couple of years ago on a contract. So that could technically still happen all over the place. It really doesn't, because once these contracts are agreed upon between the 30th, the 1st, the 2nd, and even now, they're pretty set. But Kawhi Leonard, and I said this yesterday, he is completely in his right to take his time, do whatever the hell he wants. The guy is the reigning NBA champion, reigning NBA Finals MVP. He can do whatever he wants, and teams that are in the running should be waiting. So the problem here is, not just for me as a Knicks fan, but for anybody who's following the NBA and free agency and Kawhi Leonard and the Knicks. The Knicks put out there, according to sources, that they made a tactical decision. I'll get to the rest of my sentence, but let me first insert fake laugh here. Yeah, Knicks and tactical in the same sentence? Not so much. But their tactical decision was, we could have gotten a meeting with Kawhi Leonard, but we decided, as the Knicks, we decided to cancel it because that meeting wouldn't have come until July 3rd. And we didn't want to miss out on other free agent signings by waiting till the 3rd and assuming that he's not going to sign here anyway. So why wait, have a meeting, then miss out on all these free agents and then have nobody? Did you follow me there? I think you did. You guys are smart. All right, let me first point out that is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Now, if the Knicks had gotten Kyrie Irving, obviously not Durant, but any of the other just top free agents that were out there, maybe they were the team that signed and traded for Jimmy Butler. Maybe another real free agent came here. Then what they're saying now would make sense. But you couldn't wait for the meeting and hold out the 5% or 10% chance that Kawhi Leonard would actually have been convinced to play here at the Garden? Because you couldn't wait to sign Taj Gibson, Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, and Elfrid Payton? Give me a break. You could have signed Julius Randle like you did and still sign Kawhi Leonard. The Knicks had so much cap space that they could have signed Randle and Portis, forget the rest of the guys because they're not any good, and still had an opportunity to sign Kawhi Leonard. And if you look at the list of free agents that are still available today and even last night, you could have missed on all those guys. Let's just say Taj Gibson, Elfrid Payton, Wayne Ellington, Reggie Bullock, all these guys just for whatever reason couldn't wait the 3.5 days, even though they all allegedly wanted to play for the Knicks. But let's put that aside. Let's just say they couldn't wait. They're getting nervous and anxious, and I got to get my money somewhere, so I just can't wait for the Knicks until July 4th or July 5th. I gotta sign right now. Go look at the list of free agents that are still out there. You're telling me that you would have been so upset if you somehow get Julius Randle and then you miss out on Kawhi because you take the meeting, but then he didn't want to come here, that you get Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, and then instead of those other 4 scrubs, you get DeMarcus Cousins for a year and the marquee for Marcus Brothers. What's wrong with that? You could have gone after TJ McConnell, who just signed for a couple million. There were other players out there until last night, which would have been after the meeting. You have the meeting, and then you wait for Kawhi's decision, and then you say, you know what? All right, now I'm going to sign people because it's July 5th, July 6th. It's the time where people are actually signing. So this makes no sense whatsoever. If it's not true, it's bad, and now you're just lying again. But if it is true, it's way worse than anything else. I can't take it anymore. As a Knicks fan, I just can't. But enough about that. Kawhi Leonard still hasn't made a decision yet. Looks like it's between the Lakers and the Raptors, what I've been saying for a couple of days. I personally think he's going to the Lakers, but who knows? We have no real information as of this point, so we'll see. We just await the decision. I don't think it's coming today on the holiday, but again, I've said this a couple times. I'll say it again. Kawhi Leonard doesn't seem to give a crap what you, me, or anyone else out there thinks. He's going to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it, and I applaud him. Good for you, Kawhi Leonard. Do whatever you want. All right, let's move on to another story that's interesting. It's fun. It's a sport that maybe not everybody loves to watch, but it's Wimbledon. It's tennis. Wimbledon is the biggest tennis tournament of the year, bar none. It's not even close. And we have a story developing, and you probably, I mentioned it the other day, on the women's side of things, you have Coco Gauff, the 15-year-old American who took on Venus Williams in the first round, one of her idols, beat her. Then played in the second round, beat a person that, the name is irrelevant. She's not a player that matters. She was ranked 139th in the world, and she beat her too. Now, with that being said, Coco Gauff is actually ranked. She's a professional tennis player. Even though she's 15, she's not an amateur. She's ranked, even though she was ranked about 310th, I believe, going into this tournament. This is key to this conversation. She's a professional, she's not an amateur, and she's ranked. So, this is where I want to bring this conversation, okay? Coco Gauff is set, even if she loses in the third round. She's set to make $139,000 in earnings for the Wimbledon appearance and 2 rounds of victories. She's 15 years old. 15. Okay. In most states, I don't know the states in the laws in every state about working papers and rights for kids to work. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I know in New York you can get your working papers at 14. My 14-year-old daughter's in the process of getting them because she wants to get a job, and that's fine. Do well in school, you can have a job. Very simple. But it's limited. You can work a certain amount of hours a week. You can't exceed working late at night, early in the morning. There's a lot of different rules to it. So at 15 years old, you can also work. There's still some restrictions and things like that, but you can make money. That's the way things work in the real world. So this conversation drives me and has me pointing my finger at the NCAA. You're a joke. This conversation drives me back to a conversation that people have all year round. Why is it that college athletes, student athletes, aren't getting paid? All right, some of them are getting paid under the table. There's corruption. There's boosters and other things that are happening. People are getting houses and cars and all these other jewelry and things and whatever getting put under other people's names. So that corruption is out there. So people are getting money, getting paid, getting things. But officially, a school or the organization can't hand Zion Williamson a check when he's at Duke and say, here you go, for all the money you're helping us make, here's your cut. Because that's how the employer-employee relationship works in the real world. No. Instead, the NCAA is making billions off the backs and the likeness of these kids. But they're not really kids because they're 18, 19, some 20, 21-year-olds. Can't get paid. The free scholarship's nice, but I'm sorry, Zion Williamson is not going to Duke because he's there for the great education. He's there because he's forced to go for a year, and it's the best exposure he's going to get and the best competition he's going to get outside of going to play for Barcelona in the EuroLeague. So why is it that a 15-year-old, and great for her, can earn over $100,000 for playing in Wimbledon? Now, she's earning it. She deserves it because she's winning some matches against, real competitors. But why is it that she can earn $139,000 if she loses in her next match, but Zion Williamson, all these other big-time college athletes, men and women, football, basketball, whatever sport it is, can't make a dime officially? It's ridiculous. And if then that kid who signs at Duke, I mean, it's a bad example because Coach K doesn't seem like he's ever going anywhere ever, But pick a school, any school. You sign at Duke, and then Coach K turns around and leaves tomorrow to get a better job and make more money somewhere else. And that kid who went there specifically to learn and play under Coach K says, well, I want to leave and go somewhere else to a better opportunity that I thought I was promised. They then have to be a redshirt and they have to miss an entire year of eligibility? Not play that entire year because they transferred? Where's the sense in that? So NCAA, I point my finger at you and say, what's wrong with you? Smarten up. Get with the program. Either pay these kids, or if we're talking about the NBA, get rid of the one and done rule. You don't have to go to college for 1 year. You can go from high school to the NBA as long as you're 18 years old. What's wrong with that? 18-year-olds should be able to make those decisions with a good environment, a good family, a good agent who's not just trying to rob these kids blind and says, you're ready for the next level, go ahead. It's not like anyone who tries to go from high school to the NBA is undrafted. Maybe they fall to the late first round and then they really weren't ready to be in the NBA. But for the most part, it's the LeBron Jameses, probably what would have been Zion Williamsons, the Kobe Bryants, Kevin Garnett's, all these guys who did go from high school to the NBA when it used to be allowed. For the most part, if you heard those names, it works out. Also yesterday, we had a men's soccer game, the men's national soccer team. We've been talking mostly about the women's team because they've actually launched themselves into the World Cup final for the second World Cup in a row, and they'll take on the Netherlands on Sunday to see if they can be the first country, first team ever to win back-to-back World Cups in the history of soccer. That would be awesome. But the men's team is playing in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, and they advance 3-1 in the semifinals, and they'll take on Mexico Sunday night. So right after the women's game, you can stick around and watch more soccer and watch the men's game. Now, some split emotions for me because my wife and my family are from Mexico as well as from the United States. So, maybe I'll paint one half red, white, and blue, the other half red, white, and green. We'll see. But it's going to be fun either way. So look forward to the men's national team playing on Sunday as well as the women's national team. So a couple days after July 4th, wish the best of luck to both of them. And the last thing I want to touch on, the Los Angeles Dodgers. For those of you who don't pay attention to baseball because it's July and you got little less than half a season left and you don't start paying attention to baseball until September, October, and into the postseason, check out the Dodgers. Now, nothing's set in stone. People can get hurt. And it's not necessarily going to be Yankees Dodgers or Astros Dodgers or whoever you think it's going to be. But the Dodgers are 30 games over 500. They are 59-29. And they've now won 5 games in a row, all by way of walk-off. They're just the 5th team in the history of Major League Baseball to do that. And last night, and it leaked into this morning actually, was Cody Bellinger stepping to the plate and hitting a walk-off home run, an absolute bomb to right center, giving them a victory over the Diamondbacks 5-4. And that was his 29th home run of the year. But their 5th consecutive walk-off win. That's crazy. So we'll see if they can make it number 6 when they play again. But the Dodgers are a team to be reckoned with. Now, as you can see, I've had the seatbelt on the whole time because I thought I was going to drive away. But it's July 4th. There's going to be no traffic. It's only 6:26 as we speak on July 4th. I should be home in about a half an hour, so I can't complain about that. So, this has been episode number 9, a July 4th edition of Dave Talks Sports. I'm your host, Dave Ettinger of CBS Sports Radio Network. You can find my podcast on YouTube. Please subscribe down here below. I can't remember which side it's on, so over here somewhere, click that subscribe button on my YouTube channel and subscribe to Dave Talk Sports. You can also follow me on Twitter at Dave Ettinger2 or on my Facebook page named after the show or the podcast, Dave Talk Sports, or on my website, what else would we call it, DaveTalkSports.com, where I post this every morning, and occasionally I write some sports blogs as well. So, Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, happy birthday to my dog Jordan, who's 6 today. And enjoy a very happy 4th of July. Those who are working, not working, be safe, enjoy. Until tomorrow morning, this is Dave Ettinger of Dave Talk Sports saying, see ya.